Right now, on to the point. A massive fireworks warehouse explosion. Families of the missing speak out as officials remain tight-lipped. Experts weigh in on what could have caused the devastating explosion and the safety protocols that should have been in place. An important step in stabilizing the state's insurance market. The change is coming to help homeowners and renters.
The target is to get people out of the FAIR Plan.
And our champions of hope, we meet a family turning their tragedy into a way to help others.
To be able to give the kids that safe space to talk about their loss, it's an amazing thing.
As always, thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell, and tonight we're learning new details about some of the 7 people who are still missing after Tuesday's fireworks warehouse explosion. ABC 10's Gabriel Porras has the latest from Esparto.
We are standing on the corner of roads 86 and 23, less than a half a mile away from the site of this tragedy. This is the closest we've been able to get so far. From here, you can see crews working at the site of that now decimated fireworks warehouse, and that has been the biggest update of the day, that crews now believe it's safe to enter the rubble, switching this into a recovery operation. The facility destroyed in a flash just before 6 Tuesday, leaving 7 people missing. Today, we heard from the families of 3 of them, each still trying to process all of this and waiting for answers. Officials say they are devoted to getting those answers.
The Board of Supervisors is working with our department heads, our county administrator, our law enforcement agencies to ensure that the ordinances, policies, and procedures were followed.
They say there were 7 people in there, counting my 3 kids. So, you know, we're not animals. We're not just anybody. We're human beings. I'm a mom. They got brothers, sisters. You know, we miss them. We want to know exactly what's going on. So I'm asking them to please do something. It's 3 days already.
The county says it is also providing hotel and food vouchers to those families. Right now, though, they are most focused on finding out what happened and why. That's what so many others here in the community want to know. And as you can see, the work continues tonight to get those answers. In Esparto, Gabriel Porras, ABC 10.
All right, Gabriel, thank you so much. An investigative reporter, Andy Judson, has been digging into what could have caused the devastating explosion. She spoke to a couple of fire experts that had some context around these specific type of events.
Yeah, the explosion happened at a warehouse licensed to Black Star Fireworks. The owner, Craig Cutright, told me, quote, "None of our products are involved," and pointed to another company, Devastating Pyrotechnics, out of San Francisco. Records show both companies hold valid licenses with the state marshal. Now, I spoke to 2 experts, including fire investigator Richard Meyer, who's investigated explosions around the world and handled explosives in the U.S. Army reserves. One of his biggest questions, just how many fireworks were being stored in that warehouse? He says in any facility, safety protocols should be in place to prevent a spark from becoming a catastrophic chain reaction like they are in the military.
They were stored in bunkers underground and in limited quantities so that if an explosion happened in one, it wouldn't spread to the others, and have spacing between those locations to prevent things from spreading like it did in this case.
But tragic fireworks explosions like this are not isolated. This video shows a 2022 incident in Florida that killed 4 people. Attorney Ryan Will represented a victim's family in that case. He leads national fire litigation at the law firm Morgan & Morgan and says these situations have a lot of similarities.
When we're talking about these types of explosions, they really come in 3 variations. One is the lack of proper procedures to ensure the safety of the people who work there. 2 is lack of training, and 3 is lack of safety equipment. With our warehouse here in Orlando, what we have is a situation where there was absolutely no oversight, no regulation, no safety equipment. It was really just kind of the perfect storm.
Both experts say stronger safety standards and oversight are needed nationwide for facilities that store fireworks. And ABC 10 reached out to the California Fire Marshal and CAL FIRE and requested records on how often this facility was inspected, how many fireworks were there, and what oversight, if any, it faced. We are still waiting to hear back, and we'll keep you posted on any updates.
All right, Andy, thank you. We still have a lot more news to get to. So later in the show, President Trump's tax cut and spending bill is clearing its final hurdle. We have reaction from local lawmakers.
And you couldn't ask for any better weather for the 4th of July and through the weekend as well. I've got basically 80s all weekend long.
And changes coming to California's insurance market with the goal of helping homeowners and renters. But first, in other headlines tonight, some residents and a local union in the Sacramento rail yards are threatening to sue the city over the planned development. Their problem is the lack of planned affordable housing. At last week's city council meeting, they turned in more than 130 letters of protest, which they say the city illegally declined to count and release the results. The city responded saying they have not been served with a complaint, so it's too early to comment. California Attorney General Rob Bonta says daily fantasy sports are illegal in the state because they involve betting. He shared the opinion that was requested by Assemblymember Tom Lackey. The ruling only applies to daily sports and draft-style games and does not apply to the more traditional fantasy sports option. The opinion won't change the law. The holiday travel rush is on. The TSA expects to screen more than 18 million passengers from July 1st through the 7th. AAA projects an all-time record of 72 million drivers who are expected to travel at least 50 miles from home. That's nearly 2 million more than last year. It is going to be absolutely beautiful for the holiday weekend. Let's get over to Chief Meteorologist Brendan Minchef to take a look at our 4th of July lineup. It's looking nice, a little bit cooler.
Oh, it could not be any better for the 4th of July, to be honest with you. We're going to be in the 80s across the valley on Friday. We'll still be in the 80s on Saturday, a little warmer on Sunday. But especially when you think about last July, the first 10 of the first 12 days, last July were at least 100 degrees and we hit 110 twice. So, yeah. All things considered, much better, especially compared to last year. We made it to 85 and only 85 in Sacramento today. 91 in Stockton, 93 in Modesto. That is 7 degrees cooler than normal for the time of year in Sacramento. Even Stockton and Modesto were cooler than normal. That will continue through the weekend. We'll get to that in a minute, but right now 79 in Sacramento, 82 in Stockton, 88 Modesto, 87 in Colusa, 70s and 80s in the foothills, low 70s in the high country. No matter where you're going this evening, if you have evening plans, the weather's going to be absolutely perfect. Maybe open the windows. It's just going to be that nice. 79 degrees. That's 13 degrees cooler than this time yesterday in Sacramento. We'll be in the low 70s by 9 o'clock and then through the 60s for the rest of the overnight. We're going to start Friday morning in the upper 50s across much of the valley. I've got 57 as a starting temperature in Sacramento. Friday morning, 85 though. Friday afternoon, 85 in Stockton, 88 in Modesto, 91 in Colusa, 70s and 80s in the foothills, and low 70s in the high country for the 4th of July. We have a nice delta breeze this evening. It'll stay breezy through the overnight, and we've got another really nice delta breeze on the way for the 4th of July. Looking at the next 3 days, mid-80s tomorrow, upper 80s on Saturday, upper 80s and low 90s in the valley on Sunday, and then it'll start to get warmer. We'll be back near 100 degrees towards the end of next week, but that sounds like a next week problem. We'll enjoy this holiday weekend, Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you so much. Right after the break, after hours of delays, the House passed President Donald Trump's spending bill today with a ceremony that's planned for the 4th of July. And coming up a little bit later in our show, we have our Champions of Hope. We're introducing you to a family turning a tragic loss into an opportunity to help others. President Donald Trump's signature legislation, which he calls the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, cleared its last major hurdle today and is now on the way to the president's desk. House Speaker Mike Johnson secured enough support for the bill overnight after President Trump met with several Republican holdouts at the White House and also worked the phones throughout the night.
With one big, beautiful bill, we are going to make this country stronger, safer, and more prosperous than ever before. And every American is going to benefit from that.
House Speaker Mike Johnson secured enough votes for the bill overnight. The vote itself was delayed with the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, delivering a record-breaking 8-hour and 44-minute speech in opposition.
This bill represents the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. It will devastate vulnerable populations all across America.
President Trump plans to sign the new bill into law during a ceremony tomorrow evening on July 4th. Now, Governor Gavin Newsom shared his reaction to the passing of the spending bill. He says in part, quote, "This bill is a tragedy for the American people and a complete moral failure. The president and his MAGA enablers are ripping care from cancer patients, meals from children, and money from working families just to give tax breaks to the ultra-rich." Meanwhile, Republican Congressman Kevin Kiley is celebrating the bill's passage, saying in part, quote, "Californians will soon get something long overdue, major tax relief. That is the most immediate consequence of passing today's legislation, which will benefit all Americans. Had the bill failed, Californians would have faced the largest tax increase in U.S. history." Well, the California Department of Insurance says it is just weeks away from an important step on the path to stabilizing the state's insurance market. Now, many of you have told us that you are really having trouble finding home or even renter's insurance unaffordable or unavailable. So ABC 10's Becca Haubecker is joining us in studio now. And Becca, this is something that's really been years in the making, right?
Yeah, Alex, in 2023, the California Insurance Commissioner announced plans to overhaul the state's insurance regulations by the end of 2024. Now, he hit all of the deadlines he set for his department, but some of those changes were going to take a while to actually come into effect, and that's just about where we are right now.
In recent years, 7 of California's 12 biggest homeowners insurance companies have paused or limited business in the state, citing growing risks due to climate change, the rising cost of doing business, and burdensome state regulations. Those market changes have driven up the cost of insurance for property owners and even renters, and many homeowners have had to turn to the California FAIR Plan, the bare-bones, high-cost fire insurance of last resort.
California is at an insurance crossroad.
As a result, nearly 2 years ago, California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara unveiled his so-called sustainable insurance strategy. As part of it, he agreed to give insurance companies 2 tools they've wanted for years, but an insurer can only use those tools if it agrees to write more policies in high wildfire risk areas. Those areas encompass half of the state's 58 counties and more than 650 zip codes.
My top priority is for people to have more choices in a competitive market.
Commissioner Lara testified Wednesday at a hearing of the Assembly Insurance Committee, saying those tools are weeks away from becoming available. Under state law, insurance companies must get permission from the commissioner before raising rates. They submit applications justifying the rate increase they want. These 2 new tools will allow companies to use forward-looking so-called catastrophe modeling to predict future risk and factor in the cost of California-only reinsurance, basically insurance for insurers. The department is on the verge of approving 3 different catastrophe models insurers can use.
That's why you haven't seen really the market correct itself yet with these new tools, because we had to make sure that we reviewed and approved these catastrophe models first.
We have already heard from companies who represent about half of the overall marketplace. And what they've said to us is, when you've done your work, we're going to do our work. We're going to write more policies.
The insurance commissioner says with these changes, we should see the market beginning to stabilize later this year or early next year. Alex?
All right, Becca, thank you. And the To The Point team spent months investigating the home insurance crisis, hearing from homeowners, lawmakers, and the insurance commissioner himself. You can stream the special investigation right now on the ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. All right after the break, in our Champion of Hope, we're introducing you to a local family who's on a mission to give back to the community after a tragic loss. All right, tonight in our Champions of Hope, we're introducing you to a local family whose journey through grief is really leading them somewhere unexpected, not just towards healing, but also towards helping others. And now they're planting the seed of something much bigger, a place where love and loss can live side by side.
First day beatboxing.
Good luck with that. You're taking a stand.
Olivia was funny. She was super caring.
Reach the stars.
She just cared about everyone, but she was also a prankster.
Okay, cool.
She loved life.
This is now my freedom!
Olivia Chan left a mark on everyone she met.
Honestly, she was the glue
to our family. And so when she ended up passing, it was quiet.
And unexpected. What started as a bellyache.
So I took her to the pediatrician. Pediatrician confirmed, like, yeah, you know, it takes her a couple of weeks to get over the stomach bug, but she'll bounce right back. So we get home, and sure enough, later that afternoon, she's running around and she's jumping off the couch. She's FaceTiming my sister.
Quickly took a turn. When Olivia started feeling sick again, her parents, Raina and Mel, took her back to the doctor.
And so he carries her into the ER, and I'm calling, you know, for nurses and doctors, and I'm like, you guys have to help her, there's something wrong. And so at that point, she was completely paralyzed on her right side of her body. And that's when they took her in to get a CT scan. And that's when they discovered like a massive brain bleed.
And then the Chans got more unexpected news.
A couple hours later, a doctor comes in and he says, we think she has a really rare form of blood cancer. And we're like, okay, well, what do we deal with first? Are we going to deal with the aneurysm, the cancer? What are we doing?
Doctors performed multiple surgeries on Olivia while trying to treat her cancer. But in just 3 days of her diagnosis, Olivia died.
It was probably one of the hardest things that we had to go through. But it was surreal because, you know, she was playing soccer. She was running around. She had just turned 9.
Happy birthday to you.
Olivia's death, an unimaginable loss they then had to explain to their son.
I remember calling him and I said, hey, we're gonna be in the hospital a lot longer than I thought. Olivia's not doing well. And his response was, well, what do you mean? No one dies from a stomach flu, right? I said, yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be home in a couple hours. And that was the last thing that I said to him, that she'll be okay. And you know, and 3 days later, we had to tell them that she wasn't coming home.
The Chans tried therapy and searched for ways to help their family with the grief, but nothing stuck. Then they found the Dougie Center, a nonprofit in Oregon.
We were able to be around families who had gone through a similar loss or just a loss, and they understood exactly what we were feeling. There's no explanation needed, and they just got it.
The Chans are now bringing the same concept to Sacramento, creating the Olivia Chan Foundation built around the values she embodied: kindness, connection, and care. Their foundation seal inspired by
Lucky is Olivia's favorite unicorn, so we thought it was just fitting to make Lucky our official mascot.
Olivia's parents turning to the things that reminded them the most of her.
I wish I was a grown-up. I wish I was a unicorn. She probably wrote this when maybe she was about 5 or 6 years old, so we found this in her journal, and we put this on all of our t-shirts.
Their foundation now helps families navigating the painful journey of losing a child, offering free peer support, resources, and community.
So these are just a few things that we do at our program.
From care packages and books to activities like Message in a Bubble.
So we tell them to write their message here, stick it in the bubble, and then blow it into the air.
The foundation's ultimate goal is to open a free grief center in Sacramento and model it off the Dougie Center.
To be able to give the kids that safe space to talk about their loss, it's an amazing thing because they can all relate to each other.
Through Lucky the unicorn, a symbol of hope and Olivia's spirit, and the foundation's work, Olivia's story continues.
There's no getting past this, and I think that's what we've learned. Grief is lifelong. And so that's what we love about this this model, is because you could come for as long as you need, and when you're ready to go on your way, you can go, and then you're free to come back.
Her legacy isn't just one of loss, but of love shared, grief transformed, and a family choosing to give back even in the face of heartbreak. Because when love is that strong, it doesn't end.
She was just wonderful. She was the best thing that happened to us.
It finds a way forward.
And the Olivia Chan Foundation meets at the Greenhaven Neighborhood Church every other Monday. If you are wanting some more information, you can head over to our website at abc10.com. As always, thank you so much for watching and for always inviting us into your home. If you have something that you think me and the team should be looking into, you can always email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. And I know we cover a lot of ground every single day, so you can also download the free ABC 10 streaming app straight to your TV to catch up on any news that you missed. Have a great night, and I'll see you right back here for the 4th of July.